Hello and welcome to the first 5 questions with the Resilient Hairdresser. I'm so excited about this. My first guest today is Nancy Stripe, who's a good friend of mine. And I see she's joined, so that's exciting. Good that she's here. I'm just going to do you a little intro. So Nancy is an amazing balayage artist and my friend. And what's really cool about today is I don't actually know the answer to any of the questions that I'm going to ask her. So I'm excited about that. So let's get her on. How do I get her back? Let's go. Ooh, technology. Let's see. Phone is thinking. Hey!
Hiya, you okay?
Don't you just love it when technology works?
I know. I've been trying to dig out some earphones, which you suggested the other day, and they're covered in paint because it's all I've been doing for the past month is painting my house.
Listening to your rave tunes, painting your house.
That's exactly what I've been doing. It's been great. It's been really good for the soul. So
good stuff. I know I'm old school with the headphones. I haven't quite got the AirPods. I got some and they broke, so I find the wires are better for the sound.
I'd end up losing them. That's what I'd do.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Definitely. So are you doing okay?
I'm good, yeah. How are you?
I'm all right. Look at us all scrubbed up.
Aren't we looking fresh?
When did you last put your makeup on?
About 4 weeks ago.
Mine was ever last time I was online. Generally, I just walk around, looking absolutely shocking in my quarantine chic. So I thought we would start by just telling people really how we know each other. Just so people get an idea of how well we know each other. Do you know what I mean? Which is not massively well, but reasonably well, I think.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
do you want to tell them?
Well, I think I met you. I came to a salon, didn't I?
Mm-hmm.
And taught you and
you taught
another
me
friend.
how to balayage.
Yeah, and gosh, do you know what though? I feel like that was so long ago now.
And I don't even know years. 3?
Maybe longer than 3, maybe 4, something like that. But I feel like I've changed so much since then, and I think you've changed so much since then. Like you've gone down
a
totally different path.
For sure.
I've gone down a different path.
Well, your career has boomed since then, I would say. That was early days of you teaching.
Very early days.
It was pre-lived-in sessions.
Oh, yeah, well before that.
Pre-lived-in sessions.
Well before that.
The reason I think we know each other is basically through our mutual friend.
Diane.
The lovely Di.
We love her, don't we?
We love Di. She's watching on the replay, she says.
I know, she'll have 3 kids hanging off her today. So
definitely. But yeah, I think we basically know each other because you taught me to balayage and we've got mutual friends and we hairdress in the same area, don't we? We know the same people and stuff like that. But I think what I want people to know is you're one of the people that I ring when the shit hits the fan in the hair industry.
Same.
I'm a bit like, what are we going to do? Do you know, like, I remember talking to you before the first lockdown. Do you remember that week where it was just like, what is happening? And the government weren't shutting us down and it was becoming scary. And I just rang you and I was like, what are you doing?
But
I'm
both
closing.
of us were just like, that's it, we're not going to do
we're
it.
done. And so we shut a few days before the government shut us down. But it's like I needed to hear that someone else thought what I thought.
Yeah.
So you're good for that.
Yeah. We were definitely on the same page, weren't we, with that? Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
It feels different now, though, doesn't it? I think it feels really different now.
Really different.
I think now I don't feel frightened to go back now just because I know, even though it's probably just as bad as it was then, but I feel like the precautions that are in place, I feel quite relatively safe in that environment.
Relatively safe, so. I think so. And I just think...
And it's not going anywhere, so...
No.
That's the thing.
We've got to earn a living. And it does. And I think, actually, people's... I'll be honest, I felt a little frantic in the early days about it. I was quite scared because it was so unknown. Whereas now, and I think a lot of people feel like this, it's become a bit normal and we're sort of used to it. And so that,
desensitized,
all of that, and you've just got to try and get on with your life.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. So let's get this show on the road. You're the first person.
Okay. I hope I'm not too cringy. I was saying to my friend Khalil, who runs the salon that I work at, I was like, oh gosh, I hope I'm not cringe. I always end up saying something really cringe on these sort of things, so I really apologise.
If you do, I won't put it in a reel.
All right, thanks.
Well, you're the first person to hear these questions, and what I was saying on the intro is I actually don't know what you're going to say. I don't know your answers to any of the questions, so that's dead interesting. And what I want everyone to know is that these questions are really aimed at your hairdressing career. It's all about your hairdressing career, you know, and that's what I really want to focus on, and all the sorts of things that I'm interested in. So let's go. Let's get this show on the road.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay. So, Nancy, have you ever experienced burnout as a hairdresser?
I've experienced burnout on a few occasions. I think as hairdressers, you're ready for burnout at any given time.
Living on the edge of it.
I think you really are. I think as long as everything in the rest of your life is going okay, you can deal with it.
I think that. I fully agree.
But then if one thing tips the scale, that's it.
Yeah.
And that's where burnout, I think, is difficult. And the specific time for me when this happened was when I was pregnant. My mum died, and so I think I was about 3 months pregnant when my mum died. And there's all sorts of other things going on. I had a client trying to sue me, which got thrown out. It was unwarranted. It was, it was just thrown out, but it was still in the process of all that happening.
That's a lot of stuff on the pile.
Yeah, and then
I'm not sure anyone's going to do well under those circumstances.
No. And then my mum's business, me and my sister took over her business. So
she was a hairdresser, wasn't she?
She had a wig website, a wig company. So we sort of took over that. Well, we didn't take over it. We were like major shareholders. And then there was a managing director that my mum, while she was terminally ill, she'd kind of set her up to run this business. And then she died in September. God. So it was just like one thing after another. And then I had my baby, Iris, and she was a month early. And I think it was just the whole stress of all that.
Yeah.
So I was off I think I gave myself about 6 months off or something like that.
Oh, good for you.
Maybe a little bit longer, I can't remember. But I did have sort of postnatal anxiety, I'd say. I'm not sure if depressions, maybe, I don't know. It was kind of like somewhere in between the two.
Yeah.
Didn't really deal with my mum dying. I just kind of was like, okay, just need to focus on being a mum, need to focus on getting through this, and then
focus on the thing in front of you.
I just didn't even think about processing it. It was just like, I just need to soldier on.
Yeah.
And then when I got back to work, I've worked in a couple of different salons after I got back, and it was just, that was my burnout time, because I went back to work and I was trying to fit in the same amount of clients that I was doing before in less days. So therefore I was going, I'm not going to have a break. I'm not going to give myself any time for error. I'm just going to work. And then and I was getting no sleep, and I'd not dealt with any of my grief, and I was in a bit of a toxic working environment. So I started to get quite paranoid, and I ended up going into therapy, basically. And I had
good for you.
Yeah, I had a cognitive behavioural therapy.
Yeah, CBT.
And also I went through 3 different therapists until I found the right one. And she was really straight talking, like
my favourite sort of therapist.
Yeah, she just called me out on everything, on all my shit, and I was
That's
like,
what mine was like.
She can just read me and I needed that. And she actually did some bereavement counselling with me, because she sort of recognised that was like what I needed. So I did that, and then I did some CBT, and then I left my job. Because I actually, at the end of that, was like, okay, I thought it was me because of all this stuff that was going on. I thought it was me, and I'd convinced myself it was me.
Yeah.
And then by the end of it, I realised maybe parts of it were me. I
always think it's a perfect storm.
It was a perfect storm.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, and it was toxic and it wasn't good for me, and I needed to get out of it, and I did get out of it, and
Good for you.
And yeah, it was much better after that. And
Yes.
you know, thankfully, I don't think there have been times I've been close to burnout since, but again, it's when I'm not. I actually feel less burnt out since the pandemic because we're only doing one client at a time, so those bits of time in between is giving me time to do the extra bits and
unstressed.
Yes.
Like get the photos unstressed and all that.
Or even just sit down.
Have a sandwich. Have a
a
wee.
Drink. Have a wee.
Have a wee. What a joy.
Breathe.
Yeah.
Breathe.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Do you think that your burnout ended when you left this toxic salon?
Yeah.
Do you feel it was like almost an instant? Me too.
Instantly.
Me too.
Yeah.
I've experienced this a couple of times. I really resonate with what you're saying. And I would say as soon as I leave the environment, it's gone. The problem is lifted.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think I needed to work on all the other stuff as well. I needed to work on having breaks, on losing my mum and all that other anxiety. I definitely needed to work on all of that. I said, I think if I didn't work on that, then even if I'd have gone into a better salon environment, I don't think it would have.
Well, you bring your baggage with you, don't you? You know, you just carry it around to the next thing and the next thing. Yeah. And I think this, you got to move through things. You can't go round them. You know, this is what I always say. It's my therapy statements.
Yes, I agree.
Oh, that's interesting. Agree. I didn't know that. What a tough time.
It was a journey.
Like that is a lot of stuff on the pile. But I do find this, like, don't things always come like that? It's just like...
Oh, yeah.
I've always experienced the same.
It's made me enjoy my second baby a lot. It sounds awful, but, you know, the pregnancy, the journey, I enjoyed that a lot more because, you know, I actually didn't realise how not normal a lot of that stuff was.
Oh,
and then it wasn't until I came into, like, the second, I was like, actually, yeah. So,
that's sad, but lovely as well.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. So. That's brilliant. Okay, next question. So, what's the moment everything changed for you in your career?
Okay, so it's a bit of a failure and a hurdle for me, really.
Okay.
When I was 21 maybe, or 22, so I'm 35 now, so it's
a while ago. So were you just qualified?
No, I wasn't just qualified. I was hairdresser since I was 16. So I'd moved to Manchester and I was working in a salon in Manchester and Trevor Sorbie opened. And I was like, oh, I need a job at Trevor Sorbie. I am obsessed. Like, I've got to work there.
I remember when they opened. It was a big deal.
Yeah. And I met up with John Spanton, who was... running it at the time, so he was kind of like opening it, and we got on really well, and it was like, oh yeah, I'm going to work at Trevor Sorbie, I'm going to visualize, I'm going to do it. So I was like, got all my models, and yeah, the actual what's the word, trades test was well, one of my models didn't show up, so that was a nightmare. So I had to basically like go out onto the street and get somebody and like bring them back in. And
that's like model night in the old days.
It was like model night. It was awful. And at that point, I was mainly cutting, so I wasn't really colouring at that point. Like I used to do like a little bit of colour, but it wasn't like. It was cool to be a stylist back then.
Oh, wasn't it just? And I've always been a colourist.
It was though. You know what I mean? Like back then, it was like, oh, it's cool. To be
I was like a second-class citizen for years.
Yeah, it was. That's what it was.
And now we're having our moment.
It was totally an afterthought.
But it was very much like that.
It's like, we're the cool ones. We're the ones that are like, it's
you
all
work
about the
for
cut.
us.
Your colour's going to work in with our cut.
Yeah, can you colour my client?
Yes, that's exactly what it was. So I went for this job at Trevor Sorbie and I didn't get it. And I was...
more Phil then.
I was heartbroken.
I bet.
It broke my heart. It honestly did. And like my best friend at the time, who I was working with, who I'm still best friends with now, he was just like, used to take the piss all the time. And he was like, I can't even remember what he said, but he was like, took the piss out of the fact that I didn't get this job at Trevor Sorbie. And I just burst into tears, and he felt so bad. He actually bought me this little cactus, and I've still got it now, like 15 years later.
A live one?
So bad. Yeah.
Good
it's
for
the
you.
only thing I can't kill. Apart from this thing here, which is just getting absolutely out of control. Anyway, didn't get the job, and I went to Urban Retreat. So Andrew had basically set up Barnet there, and I went to Urban Retreat, and I started working there. And Tina Bailey, who was the Urban Retreat, she was a Vader in Urban Retreat.
Yeah, she sounds. This name's
you probably know you'll
going off in my head a bit.
Yeah. She said to me one day, she's like, Nancy, we'd love you to do colour specialist. Would you like to come and do colour specialist for free? I was self-employed. She was like, for free at the L'Oreal Academy, and we'll fund it for you. I was like, free education, yes, I'll do it. So that's kind of the way it's always been for me. If I get it for free, I'm going to do it. So, tight Yorkshire woman, that's what it is. So I did L'Oreal Colour Specialist, and boom, that was it.
Everything changed.
Yeah.
So did you just love it?
It went from colour to, hi from Texas. That's good.
I know, it's Rachel
going on here, actually. Hi, everybody.
Hi, Rachel. I keep wanting to say hello to people.
A few people have said hi, and I was in a role, so I couldn't say hi back. So sorry about that.
It's distracting. I know it's your mate George is here.
L'Oreal. So I went to L'Oreal, and then I did ID art. So I was on the first colour ID artist team.
Fancy, get you.
So they hadn't even had one before then, and so there was like 8 of us, and there's Jenny Pelter from Westro, and Sophie, Evie, and there was just like loads of people at that time. Kai.
And did you get
Wilson.
spotted by being on the L'Oreal Court?
After I'd been on the colour specialist, they said, we're doing this new team thing. Would you like to try out for it? So I said, well, yeah, I'll definitely do that. And then it was just like one of those days. I did this like Marilyn Monroe type sort of set thing, and it was like peach blonde, so bleached with like peach blonde, and then it had like this little soft icy blue kind of bit going through underneath it. But I remember at the time just thinking, that's the best that I could ever do, and I was really pleased with myself. And I thought, if I don't get it, I know that I couldn't have done better than that, and
you did your best.
I feel happy with that.
Yeah, that's nice. That's a nice place to be.
Yeah, and I think as well, I've probably grown and learned quite a bit from the Trevor Sorbie experience. I'd probably thought, don't beat myself up about it if I don't get it. It's like, I know I've given my all. But thankfully I did get it. And then, so that was like a 2-year programme.
And how old were you then?
23, maybe.
23. Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
So it changed for you because you didn't get a job, went in a different direction, but then you became a colourist, and this has been, you've been flying since then, haven't you?
Yeah. And I really do think like education programs like that do make a really big difference to your career. I just think they do. I think you need to start off doing that, and then you can go off and do all your other separate things separately. I think like especially when you're a young stylist, I think those teams are sort of really good to sort of network. And
I'm big on community. I really think I build myself a community now. I'm not in a salon. I consider you in my community. That's what I was saying early on. I ring you when things are going, and I'm like, oh, what are we going to do? And I've kind of developed a community all over the show now, all over the world, hairdressers that I talk to. And I know you do that as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Because when you're in a salon, you have that community just there. But then when you become more sort of freelancing or working for yourself, you've got to create that, haven't you?
Yeah. Oh, you do. And I think now we're all open to that now. Whereas years ago, especially when I first started, like if you worked at one salon, you didn't talk to somebody that worked at another salon.
So weird.
And you just slagged them off. And if you saw them at Colour Trophy, you'd say it was shit, even if it wasn't. And we didn't have social media, so it wasn't like you know, chatting to people on social media. That wasn't like an open forum at all. It was
the competition was fierce, wasn't it?
Yeah,
You know,
and you still get old school people like that now. You still get it.
Don't get me started on the old school folk.
And it's just, it's nowhere to be, is it? You know, it's so much better when we're just people.
Yeah, I
enjoying
think things
what
are
we
changing.
do.
Social media's really changed everything for us, hasn't it? I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, brilliant.
Definitely.
So, question 3: whose career do you admire, Nancy? Tell me all about it.
I've had a good think about this, and I think I'm going to say 3 people, and it's going to be UK based, because if I go on an international
you're going to need 10.
There's just so many that I would, you know.
So anyone who knows you in Australia, don't be offended.
Yeah, and there's so many in Australia and LA, and even, you know, there's just so many people that I really love and admire. But I'm just going to stick to the UK because it's a smaller pool, and I think it's good for us to support our fellow UK artists. So the first one I'm going to say at the minute is Emily Mander.
Oh, I thought you'd say her.
Oh my God. She's just shown us all up left, right and centre, isn't she? I thought I was all right until she came on. I was like, oh, bloody hell. I've got to up my game a bit now.
I've started hearing her name recently everywhere.
Oh, she's just really good at what she does. And she's come over from Australia, so I think she's got quite a lot of her technique from... She worked at Hairdresser & Co.
Oh, did she?
So... she's come over here, but it's the branding's great, and she's just creating images that everybody wants, and she's very commercial. And
I was just going to say she's commercial.
I just think she's kind of leading the way quite a bit at the minute, and a lot of people are trying to get in that direction. So I had to mention her because I do really admire what she's done in quite a short time, really, that she's been over here. She's got a really nice song. So I'm going to go and shadow her, actually, in
brilliant.
In February in Bath. So I was supposed to go on one of her courses earlier this year, and then COVID happened, so I couldn't go on that. And then I did her social... the one she did on her Instagram last week, which is fab. And then I thought, do I wait for another course, or shall I? And it just turned out that we were heading down that way anyway, which is Bath, in February. So I was like, I might as well go and do one of these shadowing things. Because actually, I love going on courses, but I just talk to people too much. I just end up talking to everyone, and then I don't always actually see what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yes. So. Well, shadowing's always my idea of heaven. You know, like whenever
you see the real, don't you? You see the real.
I was obsessed with shadowing, and it wasn't really a thing. But years ago, the salon I was working in was like, what training you want to do? And honest to God, I'd done so much that was available in them days. And I just said, I want to start shadowing. Yeah. You know, but it didn't seem to be a thing was offered. But I was obsessed in them days with going shadowing Jo Hansford.
Oh, yeah,
because this was the biggest colourist that I could find back in the day, you know, and I was just like desperate to go, but it never happened. It just wasn't a thing. Yeah. So I love that, shadowing. Yeah, I want to see what they're really doing.
And you want to I want to be an assistant. I want to pick things up off the floor. I just want to, because actually...
I want to pass foils and cling film.
You learn so much by doing that. So that's my first one. My second one is Jack Howard. He taught me how to balayage, basically.
Did he? Interesting.
Yes. So
I saw him pop up before.
Yeah,
I was in on you.
I was at it was an ID artist seminar, actually. So I think it was at the end of my ID artist program, and balayage was only really just coming in then. So I think that was about 2011 or something like that. I can't remember. So I was at this ID artist thing, and I was on stage. And everyone else was doing like these sort of section pattern seminars, so like triangles with like things, and you know, pops of colour blocks in the fringe and things like that.
All the things.
And I had just started to teach myself balayage, and so I was like, I'm going to do some balayage. Little did I know that like Jack was in the audience. And it must have been terrible. I mean, I look back at it now and I'm like, oh God, it definitely wasn't balayage, I don't think. I think I wouldn't have known what I was doing at all, but I was giving it a go, and that's what I wanted to do. And I did get chatting to him after that. And then I was like, I said to James, I was working at James Roberts at the time, and I was like, we need to get him up and get him to do some training in the salon and like actually teach us how to do it. So he came up for a day, and he had just come over, and so I think he was sort of just starting to kind of explode with his thing at that point. And he came and taught us, and obviously that taught me how to do it properly. But the thing is with Jack is he's I just like how focused he is on what he's doing and what his strength is, and he's kind of just very he's nailed the brief. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of like who he is.
Yeah, he's got his niche. If you want to learn this, come here.
Yeah.
This is what I do.
Yeah.
You want to learn that, go there.
Yeah. And I like that. And I like how kind of strong he is.
I want to know what I'm going to get.
I'm not going to do that because that's not what I do. So if you want that, go somewhere else.
Yeah, that's how I operate.
And I'm not in an awful way. Just
I think that's fine.
This is who I am. And really watching him do that over the years has kind of made me go, I can be that as well. I can do what I do and be relentless in that and kind of just be like, I'm not going to put these things on anymore. I don't do any gents anymore. I used to love doing gents. But I was like, but actually it doesn't make me the money that I need to make. And there's probably people out there that are a bit better than I am. So, just other little things like that, really. Just kind of like being very secure in who I am and what I'm going to put out there. So I think he's really
Jack
good for
inspired you for that?
Definitely.
I think it's becoming much more of a thing to have a niche here. Yeah. I think it's been big in America for a long time. All the Americans I talk to, they just don't do anything they don't want to do. But over here, it's been very hardcore to be an all-rounder and to do all the things.
Especially when you were a colourist as well. Because when you were a colourist...
A tinter and perma.
But you also had to go, I can do everything. And I can be the best at everything. And I am the best at everything. And that, do you know what I mean? And it's actually, no, you don't need to be that. Like we can just work alongside each other and go, do you know what? I'm not the best at bleach and toning, like pre-scalp bleaches and tones. But I tell you who's really good at that. Yeah. Blah, 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 blah. Do you know what I mean? So
I think so.
It's okay to do that. And, you know.
And we'd all be happier.
Yeah, and then just like the last one in those is Siobhan Jones, who opened up Rose and Wild, and I think she's like, I'd say more on the creative side of balayage. She sort of plays a lot with like pastel toning and things like that, and it's really beautiful. But she's just such a lovely person, and when you watch her present and her seminars, she's just got this like positivity and warmth to her that you don't always see a lot in hairdressing, and she inspired me to just try and be more like that rather than be like the ones in the past before then who
like maybe more creating more connection with your audience and being on the same level.
There was a bit more of like an ego involved in our industry, and yet she kind of is a champion of not being like that, and because of that everybody loves her and wants to, what you're just drawn to her, like moth to a flame almost. So
definitely I saw her speak at Colour World. It wouldn't have been last year, the year before, and that's when I first became aware of her. She did a little, when I go to Colour World, I sit in the room where the talks are all day for some reason. I love it in there.
I've never been, but I'm going to go.
It's great. Let's go.
I'm going to go. Yeah,
we'll go together when we can go. We'll definitely do that. I really like it. I just like the vibe there. I just like to immerse myself in colour and just see what's happening and basically just talk to people, because you know what I'm like, just like talking to people. And that's where I spotted this when I'm doing this. I'm nosy and I like talking to people.
Me too.
But I thought that's what you told me about her around the same time I saw her there, and I was like, that's her. She was good. She was the person who resonated me the most that day in the talks.
Yeah. And that sticks in your mind a lot of the time, doesn't it? More than anything else. It's kind of like just who the people are.
Well, so, that famous saying, people remember how you made them feel.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
And I think teachers, that's something to really be considered, isn't it? People remember 100%. How they felt on your training, what the experience was like.
Yeah, definitely.
And like you for that, you go spend time. Oh, that's cool. That's a good trio.
Thanks.
Good trio.
Thanks.
Okay, so question 4. What have you learned the hard way, Nancy?
You're only as good as your last balayage or your last colour.
Well, that's brutal.
I know it is. And this again comes back to coming back from maternity leave. I think any time you've had, and maybe people have had this actually during lockdown as well. I think any time as a hairdresser that you have a big chunk of time off, you get a bit rusty. And if people say that you don't, it's bullshit, because everybody does. It's like when you're doing something day in and day out, every day without fail, bam, 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 bam. You are like,
it's like you get faster, you get better,
you just get slicker, and it's like you're just in the flow. And when you come back from like a big chunk of time off, it's like, I'm not saying that you're going to be shit, because you're not going to be shit, because it's, you've got to a certain level, you know what to do, but you can be rusty. And
do you feel like your brain just isn't working quite
as fast? Your brain just doesn't work.
That's what
you
I
maybe
think.
Do something that you go, oh, why did I do that?
I was thinking.
like what was it? I shouldn't have done that. And you mess up a little bit. And the hard thing is like a lot of your clients, each time I've come back from my mat leave, I've lost a few people. And you might just do something one day and that trust is just lost, really, for them. But then it's actually quite sad for you, because you connect with clients and you become friends with them, and you go through these big journeys with them. And sometimes it's quite upsetting that you think, could you not just see that maybe I was on an off day? Or do you know what I mean? Like, am I not allowed one off day? Can you not come back and go,
can it not just be good enough once?
Yes. Or if something's not right, just come to me and say it wasn't right. And like some of the best things that I've learned is when clients have come back and said, oh, it's just not right, or they've messaged me and gone, it's just not right, like, and they've given me that chance to make it better.
Because we're all good enough to fix it.
And I hate it when staff, when someone complains about something you've done, sometimes you get somebody that's just off the scale, and that's different. But when you've done something that in your heart isn't right, because before you send them out, you're like, oh, you get into right mouth.
Let's hope they leave.
Let's hope they don't see this like I'm seeing it. And they've always seen it like you're seeing it, because of course they have. But when they've actually got that relationship where they can go, do you know what, it wasn't right, but you've got to have the humility to say, it's not right, I'm sorry, I'm going to sort it out. And not start trying to blag them and saying, oh, well, you need to go in this light, and you asked for this, and but it's,
do you think once upon a time you would have done that?
I think I've done that. I definitely think I've done that. I think since I've had the children and come back, I definitely feel like I've done that a lot less. I think I've kind of gone, do you know what?
I think with age, you learn
maybe
it's age. Not a great plan, is it, either?
Maybe it's age to just go,
It's also, it's a lot less, it's a lot less anxiety provoking though, isn't it? Because when you send something out the door that is not quite right, that is days of stress, waiting for the phone call. Just get it over with.
In the night.
3 o'clock in the morning, sweating.
The best thing you can do really is just not send them out.
I think so.
Say, but when you're putting yourself under pressure time-wise, sometimes it's just a case of, I actually physically haven't got the time to sort this out now, and I don't know when I can. Do you know what I mean? So
and sometimes you're not in charge of your time. Me and you were self-employed, we're in charge of our time, but some people are employed, and you don't even get that freedom, do you? Other people decide how long a balayage takes.
But I think you just need to just keep like there's been times where I've come back from big breaks, from my mat leave and stuff, you know, and I've gone, actually, I need to refocus again. And I need to get back online and do these courses and freshen myself up. And I need to just freshen myself back and just keep going.
Yeah.
And never stop doing the courses, just keep doing them, because it's like, you know, where you were at 2 or 3 years ago, you can't rest on that. You've
Things
got
move
to be
on.
better than that. Yeah.
Things move on. I mean, balayage has really moved on. I mean, it started out, I remember as it came in, and it's as I was leaving hairdressing, and it was the dip dye, then it was the ombre,
yeah.
and then it was, and I'd quit by the time the balayage had kicked in. So I remember when it was starting, you know, but it's evolved and it's so much more beautiful than it was.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and now and then there's money pieces. That wasn't a thing.
Yeah,
there was nothing here, and now it's here.
No.
You know what I mean? And it's all happening, isn't it? And I think you know and I think this. No matter how old your clients are, they always want to know. They always want to think they're at the trendiest salon. You know, and that's by your. You know, you want to know your hairdresser's keeping up.
That's changed now, though. It's not the trendiest salon anymore. They want to know that your Instagrams. Do you know what I mean? I get a lot of my clients through Instagram. And that is all age and brackets. So it's not just 60, it's 16 to 65 really my demographic. Especially with like the dump the tint stuff that I do, you know, sort of like trying to encourage people to have their, you know, embrace the greys and things like that. But even those people, they want to see that. But I think it's down to you more now. I think it's like they're more bothered about what you're doing, how you're investing in yourself, not so much about the name above the door.
Like they found you through Instagram and then they find out where you work. They don't walk down the high street, look at a salon and think that looks nice.
Oh, I'm going to go in
I'll
there.
go and take a
maybe
punt.
some people still do that. I don't know. Maybe some people still do. But I really think you're in charge of your own, how many clients you get. You're in charge of your social media. It's not footfall anymore.
No, you're a little business, whether you're employed or not, aren't you, really, these days?
Yeah.
Interesting.
But the bad thing for big brands is that they don't, they hate the fact that it's out of their control sometimes. You know, like the big companies, I mean, they don't like the fact that, you know, a senior colour, or even junior colour technician from Tony and Guy might have a bigger following than the whole salon put together.
Because they're great on their gram.
Because they're really good at Instagram.
And us older ones had to catch up.
And then they go and move somewhere else. And guess what? 3,000 people are going with them. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's what's difficult for the big brands right now. But that's the way it is. And they've got to move forward. Got to move forward with it.
And we'll adapt. And I think that's the message, isn't it? So I suppose what you've learnt the hard way is you've got to keep moving. And you're as good you're only as good as your last work. Wow, good stuff. Okay, question 5. This is the last one. So, what advice would you give to your younger self now, looking back?
Oh, I've had to think about this, and I'm sort of like flipping on two sides of it, because on one side, I'd say stop thinking you know it all because you don't know anything. Because, like, you know, I think when you're a young stylist, it's almost like you're not confident, so you overcompensate for that.
You don't know what you don't know yet.
Yeah, totally. That's exactly it. And therefore, I think you can maybe lose your learning because you think that you know more.
Oh, you think you're the shit.
Yeah,
I remember that phase. Not yours, mine.
No, mine.
I remember
totally.
thinking I was amazing.
Yeah. I did. Honestly, it was just like I'm gonna be the best ever. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, I totally did.
Rather than just trying to do my best, which I think is probably a better thing. I like all these comments that people.
I know,
give myself a slap around the face.
I would give myself a slap around the face.
But then at the same time, without that, I don't think I would have got to the levels I wouldn't have taken the steps that I have.
Like the confidence, that blind confidence.
Yeah. So I think you have to keep that self-belief, because if you don't have that, then you're not going to be ambitious. And the other thing is not to suck in other people's negativities, and not to believe the negative things that people can say to you throughout your career. Because I think people do funny things when they're intimidated by you. And
I have this conversation a lot when I'm coaching.
Yeah. And with age, you realise what they're doing and why they're doing it. And you try to soften it until you get pushed to a certain point, and then you're like, no, this is my boundary, and I'm not taking this. And I've had to do that a few times. But a lot of salons I've worked in, not every salon, but a lot I've worked in, there's always been somebody there putting me down, or trying to outdo me, or constantly just trying to be better than me. But it's not a competition. Do you know what I mean? We should be helping each other out. We should be. And I think in those scenarios, I've taken in a lot of that negativity in the past and gone, oh yeah, maybe.
And it's like chipped away at your self-esteem and confidence.
Yeah. But then I think as you get a bit older, you're like, oh, they're probably just doing that because maybe they're frightened that I don't.
Yeah. Hi, Kelly. Yes, it's like they. I think sometimes when people are underconfident, they want you to stay small so that nobody notices that they're not growing. I think there's that thing of if you start going on courses, for example, and thinking you want to do, you hold up a mirror to the fact that they're not doing that.
Yeah,
that's
true.
So
that's very true.
People can want you not to succeed just because it makes them feel bad, instead of just jumping on board. It's a thing, isn't it? It's sad.
Yeah. So, and I think that goes back to like that old school thing again, of salons, people in salons not kind of like being like a one-person boat a lot of the time, and just wanting all the glory and wanting everything, and that's not how it was. Not actually truly feeling happy for other people when they do well.
Oh, my favourite saying is, be careful of friends who don't clap when you're winning.
Yeah. But it's a big thing. It's a big thing, and it's shit. But what you realise as you get older is it's not you. It's them. It's their problem.
Yeah. But if you're young and sensitive, that's so hard to manage, isn't it? Because
I was very sensitive.
You're looking around for mentors, and if that's what they're saying to you, and that's what But I think, do you think that your training, your younger days would have been different if social media would have been a big thing? Because you're younger than me. Was it a thing?
I think it would have been. It wasn't a thing. No, it wasn't a thing. I think it would have been, because I sought out training like anywhere I could. I was like buying like the Tony. I didn't work at Tony & Guy, but I bought the Tony & Guy chromatics book.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And I think it was like 2002 or 3 or something like that. Yeah. And just being obsessed, like literally like I want to do that, I want to do that, I want to do that. Like, how can I be like that? I want to be like them, I think my training probably would have been very different, if because you can just train yourself now so much. But
and you would have seen what was out. You can see what's out there a little bit more, can't you?
So hi, Lisa. It's one of my clients.
It's interesting that your younger advice, it's two sides of the same coin, isn't it? It's like, thank God for that confidence, but also keep it in check.
I cringe now. I look back now and I think, oh God, I can't believe I said things at times and did things at times. I'm like, oh.
Yeah,
but like
me
you say,
too.
if I hadn't have had that, then I probably wouldn't have gone, I can go up on stage and do that. Of course I can.
Yeah, it's like you get that confidence at that age because that's when you really need it. Yeah. And you get a bit more wise later on because you need that. This is what I think. And that blind confidence really pushes your career forward when you need it, doesn't it?
Yeah. But the skill isn't necessarily there.
Well, someone said to me a long time ago, hairdressing's 50% skill and 50% personality. And I think that's true.
I think it's more, I think that the how much you put into it is probably more than skill.
Yeah. And how people feel sat in your chair.
I've seen average hairdressers become very good through going to just courses after courses after courses.
Yeah.
Whereas I've seen really, really good hairstylists
Get
not
lazy.
be that bothered. And
just get lazy, isn't it?
And it's not that they get worse. It's just everybody around them gets better because they're they're just like...
Oh, that's such a good way of looking at it.
Have you ever seen like people that you've admired like for years and you've gone, oh, they're amazing, they're amazing, they're amazing. And then one day you go, maybe that's not that amazing.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's not that they've lost it. It's just that we've all gone a little bit higher. Yeah, exactly, Georgia.
I mean, I think that seems to be the message from all your questions really today, isn't it? Is like what I'm hearing is it's evolving is what is important to you. It's that constant moving, learning, developing. It's like developing as an artist though, isn't it? You know, you've got to keep going. You can't keep knocking out the same stuff forever.
No, keep moving forward.
Brilliant.
So, yeah.
Brilliant.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, I've absolutely loved it. I learned so much about you I didn't know.
I feel like I want to do this to you now. I'll give you the questions.
I tell you what, I thought about this and I thought at some point I'm going to have someone interview me and I thought I'm going to get Nancy to do it.
I'll do it.
So I think maybe sometime in the new year I'll have you ask me.
I'd love to
That'd be fun.
That'd be great. Yeah, that'd be really good.
It's a date.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, thanks for your time.
Right.
And thanks for everyone for turning up. It's
Thank
been
you.
fun.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Nancy. Take care.
See you later.
See
Bye.
you. Bye.